Hey guys, my name is Evan and welcome to Country View Acres. So the other day I ended up buying this old haybine to be able to use to cut our hay fields with. So previously I had bought a sickle bar mower. I had gone through the whole thing, and afterwards I was still having difficulty cutting hay with it. It was very frustrating working with the sickle bar. So I'd been looking for a haybine for over a year now, and this should be a better solution. This should cut hay better, way better than a sickle bar. So one of the guys I work with, his family ended up buying some property, and when they were cleaning the place up, they found inside of a barn that this haybine had been parked and had been sitting there for years. So we're pretty sure, we know that it hadn't really been used in 15 years, and maybe even longer than that. So what he ended up doing is the tires weren't even flat. They were a little low. He put some air in the tires, hooked it up to the tractor, pulled it outside, and it appeared that everything worked on it. Everything moved the way it was supposed to. So he sent me a video of it running, asked me if I was interested, so I shot him a price, and I ended up going there the other day and buying this. So when I went there to purchase it, he had actually ran it through some grass. It wasn't real tall grass, but he ran it through some grass just to see whether it would cut, and it actually still cut grass, even after it had been sitting for 15 years. So I know that there's probably several things on here that need fixed or gone through, but let's take a quick walk around and we'll see how many things we can figure out we need to fix. We'll try to fix some of those real quick today, and then we're going to go take it out, see if it'll actually cut some tall grass. So this is a Hesston PT10, and I know they made these for several years, and probably thinking this is from the 1966, 1968, that time frame. So it's obviously missing the guard on this side to cover up all those chains. So we might have to fabricate something up to be able to cover those up. So if you look in here, see if we can look in here at these rollers. So on these rollers, you got a rubber roller and a metal roller, and this crimps the hay as it comes through, and it should make it dry faster. And this top roller, you can see there's some cracks in it and stuff like that, but all the rubber seems to be on that top roller. So that's good. Sometimes that's a little hard to find ones with the rollers with the rubber on them. Now we'll find out what happens. This may start falling apart when we use it, but hopefully that'll work fine. So as the grass comes through these rollers, there's a deflector here that's supposed to kind of shoot it toward the middle, and that is actually missing on that side. There's not a deflector on this side over here, so then all the grass that comes through here ends up piling up around the wheel and everything. So we're going to have to make a deflector to go in here so that the grass is funneled to the middle of the machine. So on this side over here, I'm going to guess maybe there should be some kind of cover over these pulleys. I'm not for sure. Now you can see if I can get in here. You can see there's a little bit of damage here. So this has wrecked before, and this is the pitman arm that actually moves the cutter. It goes back and forth and moves the cutter, and it looks like it's been welded back together. So this must have broke and hit this at some point in time, but it looks like it's been repaired, and everything seems to be working the way it is. So it doesn't seem to have anything to hold the hydraulic hoses. They're just tied on with some rope holding them in place. And then down here, this is where the trailer jack would attach, but I don't know if you can tell, it's actually broken right here. It's kind of out of round. It's kind of pinched together, and you couldn't pin a trailer jack on here. I actually had to put a 3/4 inch drill bit through that just to get the pin to go in. And then once it's pinned, this will like flex since it's broken, and then the jack doesn't want to sit on there straight. So we're going to have to end up repairing that. So the guy I bought this off of, I think he went above and beyond, because he ended up buying a brand new jack for it since it was missing one. So so it comes with this coupler piece. So we'll end up welding that on up there and getting this jack attached to it. And then he also ended up buying the manuals for this. So I do have a set of manuals that's going to make this a lot easier to figure out how to adjust it and get repairs done. So here's a look at the sickle bar. You can tell it has the stubby rock guards. They don't stick out farther than the cutters. And then you can see the grass that he cut with it the other day. Now, these wire pieces here should flip that grass off and back into that roller. So you can see there's a little bit laying on there, so I don't know if there's an adjustment that needs to be made there. But these sickles did actually cut the other day. So this is a side view of the sickle. So here's the sickle bar that cuts. Here's the hold down on top. And when this was sitting in the barn, it was sitting on the ground. So this area right here was actually sitting in the dirt. And it's going to be a little hard to tell, but if we look under here, this is where most of the damage is. It's all rusted. Some places are rusted out underneath here, and there should be, that's I think what part of this is, there should be a shoe that it actually rests on should come back, and then there's an adjustment arm back here. There should be a shoe on this side and a shoe on the far side, and that sets your height of where it cuts the grass. And it looks like these shoes are both rusted and gone or missing. So we're gonna probably have to figure something out to make new shoes for each side. That's probably gonna be the biggest thing we're gonna have to do. So I'm looking through the manual here, and I've got the skid shoe here opened up. So the skid shoe should look something like this. You can see there should be a hinge point here, and then it should go back here to this adjustment bar. And this whole piece right here is missing. There's only a couple inches left right here on the front of that hinge. So we'll have to figure something out in replacing that. So we'll probably do something this winter, figure that out. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get it to where at least the jack will attach properly to the haybine. So we're gonna go ahead and weld this mount on there and replace that old one. I think that'll work. All right, so they got a piece of rope on here that's to pull the pin so that it can change the position of the tongue. So this is travel position here. Over here would be your cutting positions. You're supposed to pull on this from the cab. You can see that is about to break. So we're gonna have to redo something here on this rope. So where this rope attaches, that's a pretty sharp edge. It keeps cutting the rope. So I think I'm gonna take a chamfer bit, round that over a little bit, soften that edge. Now hopefully that's a softer edge and the rope won't break as quickly. See if we get this rope to fit through there. Oh, are we close? Yeah, there we go. That's probably a better size rope. All right. So right here is a hold down for the hydraulic hoses, and it's locked up. We're just gonna cut this off, put a new bolt in here. Actually, I had a new wing nut. I'm kind of surprised. All right. One hydraulic hose. All right, that's holding hoses there. So up here at the front, there ought to be a bracket that holds these hoses up, and I think that's what this is. It's broken off. So I guess we'll take this off and try to make a new bracket, and we'll make it hold the rope as well. So this is why I got this cart, just for reasons, for situations like this. Oh man. All right, no reason to save this bolt. This bracket is a little bit bent. If I can straighten it. Oh, did a little bit. All right, we'll try a pipe wrench. Oh, they're bent. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's better than it was. Well, this side here is almost bent so much that it's in the PTO. See, a pipe wrench is not just for pipes. You can also straighten stuff, kinda. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better than it was. So now I just need a bracket that comes up and probably holds these hoses somewhere about here. Probably. So probably need about a 20-inch long piece. All right, so I got my bracket made. So I've got a piece of pipe here for the rope to go through, and then I've got a bolt welded to the top so that we can clamp our hoses, our hydraulic hoses on here. And this should fit on here. That'll work. All right, so I went ahead and I cut the rope where I think it's plenty long. So it's gonna feed through this pipe. And remember, that's to pull the pin to change the hitch. And I think on this end, I'm just gonna wrap like a simple loop on this end. That way it gives me something to pull on. And hopefully this will stay up high enough that it stays out of the PTO. So I've got a bolt here. We'll probably clamp these hoses down pretty much about the same as what we had back here. I just need to make a bracket that's going to fit on here and clamp them. So I've got an 1/8 inch thick piece of metal I'm going to make a bracket out of. I'm going to try to bend it on the vise. So I've got this new thing to try out. It's a brake, and a brake bends metal, and this is a small brake meant to fit on a vise. All right, so these magnetize to the jaws of the vise. I've got some lines scribed on here. I'm going to try to bend a 45-degree on each end. A little more. It is pretty hard to bend, but hopefully you can see we got it bent on that one side. I'll try to bend the other. This is probably about the maximum I'd want to do in this thing, 1/8 inch. All right, there's our bracket. Just got to drill a hole in it. All right, well, I don't want these hoses to rub against these threads, so I've just got a little piece of plastic pipe that I'm going to put in there. That'll keep it from rubbing. We're going to put our brand new bracket down over. See, that should hold those hoses. And then, boy, my bolt is almost not long enough. We're just going to put our wing nut on there and call it good. Well, now that it tightened down, I think I get my lock washer on there. All right, that should hold the hoses. All right, we got the hydraulic hoses supported up away from the PTO. We got our rope ran, and I think that's about all I'm going to fix today. I think I'm ready to just take this out to the field and try it out. Well, I wasn't thinking when I hooked up the Allis-Chalmers though, because it actually doesn't have two hydraulic connectors. It actually only has one. The disc that came with it was like a single acting cylinder, and this is not set up to run double acting cylinders for two hoses. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to unhitch it from the Allis. I'm gonna have to go find a different tractor to try it out with. Well, I was gonna grease this up and I saw this greaser here is broken. I think I got some new ones. Let's see if we can take this out. So it had the right one, that's good. It's good to keep extras on hand. Well, I went ahead and I've greased everything up. At least everything I could find I greased. So I think we're ready to go. I couldn't hook this to the Allis-Chalmers. I mean, I could have hooked it to the Allis-Chalmers, but I would have had to unhook the loader bucket. I would have had to use the hydraulics from the loader bucket, and I didn't want to do that. So that's what we're going to use this one. All right, I'm gonna readjust my hoses because they're touching the PTO. I think I'm just gonna drape them over the side over here, take up the slack. So this is a pretty rough test for this because the hayfield is extremely wet. I don't know if you can see all of the water that's on the grass here, but this is a wet field, and it actually cut and fed through there. You can see there is no windrow, not really. There's a space on each side, but there's not really a windrow, and I think that's because of the deflector. The deflectors ain't right. Now this side is missing the deflector, so it ended up piling up grass behind that roller right there, and it piled up so much it finally ended up wrapping around the roller, and then so much grass built up it still finally shot back out the front, and grass was coming out of the front. And that, I know that it's wet, but I really think it's because they're missing a deflector back there, so it's causing a pile to build up behind the roller in that corner. There's actually a fairly good sized pile of grass back there. But surprisingly enough, it actually cut. And as we look back over where it cut, it seemed to cut fairly well. Kind of surprised. Won't really tell too well unless we raked it and seen what it looked like under there. But in this clear path, that looks like it cut fairly well. So overall, I think it's something I can definitely work with. I gotta fix a few more things on it. We're gonna definitely have to get the deflectors in here working to make a windrow. Need to put one over there. This one may need to be a new one. We're gonna have to definitely do something with the deflectors. I don't know, that is just a huge pile of grass that is piled up behind that roller. So that's probably one of the first things we need to do. The next thing we need to do, of course, is we need to get the shoes underneath there. Those two skid shoes, there's actually what slides on the ground like a sled. And without those, I'm keeping this actually hovered just a little bit above so it's not skidding the ground. But it really should have those big wide shoes on each side, and that's what sits on the ground, and it sleds on there. You know, it kind of is that's your height adjustment. So I'm gonna need to fix those and get those going. That grass sure wrapped around that roller. So on the end of this top roller, a 1-inch wrench fits right here, and that'll help you roll it. And I'll get that grass out of there. There we go. Well guys, I think I definitely know a few things I need to focus on here. As I was looking at it, there's definitely some other things that need to work. I think the sickle bar timing is off just a little bit. And then I'm wondering if the rollers, actually I think they're pressing a little hard on that one side, on the far side. So the rollers may need adjusted. And I'm sure there's several things on here that's gonna need gone through. But I think with the way that it looks right now, I think this is gonna work better. I could have never cut that wet grass with a sickle bar mower. If I would have went out there today, it just would have clogged up. So even in the condition it is now, it actually cut better than the sickle bar. Now it did eventually clog because there wasn't a deflector there, so we'll get that fixed. And yeah, this looking right now, I know it looks old, there's hardly any paint left on it, but I think this is actually going to do a good job next year. We just need to tune it up a little bit. But anyway, I think that's it for today, guys. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. All this is what was jammed up right behind that wheel where the deflector was missing. That's a lot of grass.